All right. Joining me now is the Democratic mayor of Kansas City, Missouri, Quentin Lucas. Mayor Lucas, it's been roughly 24 hours since President Trump signed his so-called Big Beautiful Bill. As the dust begins to settle, I would love to hear your thoughts on this bill and how it will affect cities like your own.
You know, I agree with the leader. This is going to be a challenge for all of us. First of all, the health care changes. Let me make it concrete. It is not just 17 million people. It is hospitals in the cores of our cities, hospitals like the one that I was born at, that will be making tough sacrifices of uncompensated care. We will have more people coming from rural middle America, rural parts of our country. They come to the cities for services. We're not going to be doing the preventative care that we need to do. This is bad for pregnant mothers. This is bad for children. This is going to be something that is going to change the healthcare network in our country. And that's just one part of the bill. I agree. The cost on utilities, the cost on other challenges, cities that are already cash strapped, that are already facing affordability challenges, will be doomed by this legislation. And we're trying to figure out how we can make sure we survive through it.
Now, let's stick with this for a moment. Nearly 1.5 million Missourians rely on Medicaid. According to the KFF, this bill will cut almost $17 billion from the state's Medicaid program in the next 10 years. The state's healthcare system stands to lose $1.2 billion a year when the bills are fully implemented. Missouri already has a rural health care crisis. In less than 10 years, 12 hospitals in rural counties have closed. According to the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, there are now 50 rural counties without a hospital at all. Average distances to the closest hospital can be more than 51 miles away, and drive times from these counties can be 40 minutes to an hour in good traffic. Both of Missouri's senators, both Josh Hawley, who was very vocal about the impact it would have on rural hospitals, voted for this bill. Have they proposed a way to fix the massive looming issue, given what's going on in their own state?
No, Rev, it's almost even more insulting than that. So they are defunding and destabilizing healthcare in our states, while at the same time saying, yeah, we put some money in a little bucket that maybe they will be entitled to later. So you're going to strip about $150 billion of support for the system, put a third of it back in, and say it should be all good. I mean, this bill is astonishing for a few different reasons. Some of us who live in the cities are used to getting picked on by this administration, are used to getting picked on by the Republican Party. But what they did this time was undermine, destabilize health care in rural Missouri and rural middle America and rural parts of our entire country. What you are going to see is more hospitals close in rural parts of America. You are going to see more people die, and more people die earlier in rural America. If ever there has been a bill that lets lots of people in the red states, and I happen to live in one, know that our leadership does not care about you, it is this bill. It is unconscionable to me as somebody who does spend my days caring about not just the people in my city, but all the people who are hours and hours away who come to our city for care. I'm terrified for that woman who has a difficult pregnancy now. I'm terrified for the people who need care. I'm terrified for people who are living and need, frankly, food assistance and nutrition assistance in rural America. This is destabilizing not just the cities, but our entire country.
Now, the New York Times recently sat down with 16 mayors, and they discussed the difficulties of working with the Trump administration. Trump has repeatedly attacked black mayors, most recently clashing with Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass over the ICE raids in her city. There's reporting that the raids are going to expand to New York City, Chicago, and Atlanta. Do you have a plan to deal with these raids and the potential protests if they come to your city?
The first thing that I do is stand up and I stand by our fellow black mayors around the country. Karen Bass is one of the most talented leaders in our country. She's been in public service for a generation and is making real strides addressing homelessness, public safety, and other issues in Los Angeles. The President of the United States is picking the same types of battles he was doing in New York City in the 1980s, and he's trying to pick on black public officials, on black people, on black women, on black young people to try to make a point to scare the rest of the country. So the first thing we do is stand up for one another as black mayors nationwide. The next thing we do is make sure that we share the truth and openness with our own communities in terms of raids and others. You don't have to let somebody into your house or into your business. You can ask for identification. And we are sharing that message far and wide in my community and beyond. But what we will make sure that we do as mayors of cities is stand up for the rights of people. I'm not making compromises on the rights of people to exist. We are not making compromises on DEI in America. We need to make sure there are more black people in positions in places like Kansas City. And we're going to continue to do that no matter what the administration is saying ahead.
Now, before I let you go, we've been talking about New York City's mayoral candidate, Zohran Mamdani, who last weekend joined me at the House of Justice of the National Action Network in Harlem to talk about his plans for the city, including free buses. I want to ask you for your take on his candidacy. But I know that Kansas City was the first major city in the U.S. to fully support free buses in 2019. How has that program been going? And do you think it could translate to New York?
I think it could translate to other places. I think that what we saw when we created free buses is that we have free roads. We got free public streets, we got free public sidewalks, and we are subsidizing suburbanites who come into our city every single day, and that's in most metropolitan areas. And so what we saw was rather than making poor and working class Kansas Cityans have to pay for an entire system, we need to do what we can to make sure that we're giving them access like we give everybody else access to success. I happen to consider Mayor Adams a friend. I'm not getting involved in the race other than to say this, and I don't know Mr. Mamdani. I wish him well. I'd be happy to meet him one day. I think some of his ideas can work, but my biggest thing that I think we ask for in all cities, I appreciate people who talk about issues in the black community. Make sure you take the time to get to know us. Make sure you are somebody who has been with us for some time. So my only advice for anyone running for mayor of New York City is make sure that we're not just issues. We are communities to get to know, and I think that's how you can be successful long term.
All right. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you to Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas.